Hello everyone. Today I will be discussing with you about the concepts of globalization through this 15 minutes video presentation. Globalization basically refers to the international integration of countries and nations. It is the worldwide coming together of countries and nations. The transportation services as well as the communication networks increases as a result of globalization. The concept of globalization takes place with the help of internet, mobile phones, telephones as well as aeroplanes. Next, we will look into the advantages and disadvantages of globalization. Firstly, we can look into the advantages of globalization. Globalization creates more employment opportunities. It enhances wages for labor as well as it reduces the prices of products as a result of economies of scale, and more affordable products becomes available to the customers. It promotes more global economic growth as well as it provides cultural intermingling between the citizens of different nations. It makes the companies more competitive as well as it provides chances for the economically disadvantaged countries to develop on an economic basis. Now let us look into the disadvantages of globalization. The globalization is having a very greater impact on culture. It dumps down the culture of different nationalities. Another important disadvantage of globalization is climate change and global warming. The trucks and aeroplanes are used to carry the goods over international borders. As a result of it, a large number of carbon dioxide are being emitted into the atmosphere. This results in global warming and climate change. The poverty rises as a result of globalization. That is, the rich is becoming the richest and the poor is becoming the poorest as a result of globalization. Next we can look into the exploitation of labor. That is the about the child labor, and prisoners are being used to work in poor working conditions. Next is about the spread of communicable diseases such as HIV and AIDS, which are being spread from the travelers as a result of globalization.
I'll be discussing about the concept of globalization. Globalization refers to the action of international integration of countries. It happens through greater foreign trade and investment, the worldwide coming together of countries and nations. It promotes free trade without any kind of restrictions. It takes place with the use of internet, mobile phones, aeroplanes, and telephones. These have made the growth of transports and communication networks possible. People and country can exchange more information and goods quickly as a result of globalization. This process is known as the globalization. The world grows closer together due to it. There is an active exchange of goods between the countries across the world. More affordable products are available for more people across the globe. It involves exchange of services, knowledge, cultural goods as well as language. World Trade Organization and World Bank facilitates trade which takes place among the nations. More job opportunities is an advantage of globalization. Many people in these countries work for very little money. Many people in the economically disadvantaged countries do not have any sufficient insurance, social insurance or health insurance. It reduces poverty as it helps everyone regardless of their starting point. It emerges an egalitarian society which promotes gender equality as well as women empowerment. The farmers have gained new tools and techniques as a result of globalization. There is also an enhanced wages for labor. Globalization creates positive forms of cultural hybridity and multiculturalism. Economies of scale and reduced cost for business is another advantage for globalization. Globalization has its negative side as well. First one is about the loss of national culture and identity. The ecological problems which may arise as a result of globalization, such as the climate change. It happens due to the constant use of aeroplanes, ships and lorries. These are used to transport goods over the international borders. This results in the release of more carbon dioxide into the environment. It is one of the major reasons for global warming. People and environment often suffer due to globalization. Global warming is one of the major impact of globalization. There is also an increasing inequality between the individuals of a country. The gaps between the rich and the poor has been on an increasing trend. The concentration of power among the elites is a disadvantage of it. Poverty rises as a result of globalization. That is, rich is becoming the richest and poor is becoming the poorer. Culture is one of the major impacts of globalization. It has a dumping effect on culture. Globalization is one of the major reasons for terrorist attacks. There are issues over urbanization and migration. There is the migration of labor from the urban to the rural areas in search of new livelihood. This in fact results in the spread of diseases. The high competition in the market through the exploitation of natural resources. The rise in business outsourcing. Most of the businesses are being outsourced these days. Next, I will be discussing with you about the theories of globalization. First one is about the Dunning-Soil framework. It includes ownership advantage, location advantage, and internalization advantage. Ownership advantage are the firm-specific factors. Location advantage, these are the location-specific factors. These are external to the firm, such as transportation cost and government regulations. Internalization advantage, cost advantages from horizontal and vertical integration. Next, we will discuss about the Porter's 5 forces model. First one is the industry rivalry. Number of competitors and their ability to threaten a company. Threat of entry, that is, the company is affected by the force of new entrants into the market. Power of supplies, how the suppliers drive up the prices of goods and services. Power of buyers, it is the ability of the customers to drive the prices down. Liability of foreigners is another theory of globalization. The experiences of foreign firms in host countries due to their non-native status.
Hello, my name is Don Charco.
Hello.
And I am an MBA Global student at the University of Newcastle. Can I ask you some questions on globalization, which will help on my assignment?
Yes, of course. Don, go ahead. I'm happy to answer your questions if possible, please. Thank you.
Can I know your name?
My good name is Abby Thomas.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm turning 45 soon. Yes.
Are you currently working?
Yes, I am currently working as a full-time worker in the health industry as a shift worker. Yes.
Which industry do you currently belong to?
As I said, I do work in the health industry as a registered
Yeah.
nurse. I'm in the critical care area. I work in an ICU setup, yes.
Yeah. Which country are you from?
I'm basically born and brought up in India, and yeah, I was about 20 years ago I moved towards Australia.
Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, what is your understanding on the term globalization?
Globalization, from my understanding, I think globalization is where you can access most of the things
Mm-hmm.
on your fingertips at the moment. You know, say you got your mobile phone, you can get
Yeah.
on the internet and you can get access to any information, say business activities, or you can buy anything
Mm-hmm.
in just a couple of clicks. And I think that's
Yeah.
so far
That's
that's my understanding about globalization.
what all countries have you been traveled to?
I've traveled to India, most parts of India, Singapore, Malaysia, and most of Australian states as well. Yes.
Yeah. Like, what was the main form of communication that you have used 20 years before?
Back then, 20 years ago, during my time, during my graduate time, it was mainly post. So wherein you used to send letters to your beloved ones, or as communication as well. Back then, it was the early influx of the email setup as well, which we were like a bit slow to catch up with. We were just getting used to it, but mostly it was the postal setups, telegraphs, and all those
Yeah.
communication methods.
What do you see as the most important innovation we have seen in time?
Uh, at the moment, I think it's mainly the internet, telephones,
Yeah.
and all the new sophisticated ways of doing things. There's always simple ways and a lot easier ways compared to what it was back then.
Yeah.
Using the internet facilities and all.
What was the biggest issue facing the world when you were at my age?
Back then, the issues was mainly there was lots of wars happening during that time. Say in the 1980s or in the 70s, 1990s, there was lots of wars happening. There was Kargil war in India, Indo-China war.
Yeah.
So there's always been these issues, which was mainly affecting most of the community around as well, and there was all high tensions between countries as well.
Yeah.
And there's always all those common issues as you do expect, like poverty and unemployment, which I think is not the case at this moment. Priorities are different at this stage. Yes.
Yeah. How do you think about the change in work and employment as a result of globalization?
Globalization has made work a lot easier from my perspective, because you get access to a lot of things online. You don't have to completely rely on textbooks at the moment. Jump onto internet, or medical health facilities have been all sophisticated at the moment. There's all these new technologies or new researches happening every day, day by day, and that's been implemented into the care we deliver to our clients as well. And I think it's made it easier, and you get access to all the health information. Say take a client, you can get access to most of the information online, and you can treat based on the current evidence-based practices as well, which is a good thing. I think that has a good impact on medical, from in my field of discipline. Yes.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the pros and cons of globalization?
Pros and cons of globalization. Pros would be like life is a lot easier. There's lots of benefits to the users.
Yeah.
Cons would be, as most of us argue, it depends on your perspective. Cons, I would say, they say that your culture's been forgotten by the globalization.
Yeah.
And we are losing your
The
culture,
impact on
values.
culture.
Yeah, the impact on culture is a big thing. And again, as I said, it depends on the perspective of individual people and how you take it. And modernization, you can't always rely on machines and internet. There should be still human involvement mainly, or got to be careful what you're doing.
What was the change you have witnessed in your health industry as a result of globalization?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, most of the things are at fingertips. You get access to all the health information, say for a flight, on the internet, jump on a computer, you get to see everything. Throughout all their hospitalization and all this stuff, and it makes life a lot easier in treating the sick patients, especially when it comes to dire situations when they are really sick. Also, as you get to know about the most recent research projects happening around the same topics, and you get to treat the patient with the most evident and latest technologies, which I think has been improving the outcomes in the clients in a better way, rather than it's been improving the efficiency of the care that we provide to our clients holistically. Yes.
What do you think are the impacts of globalization?
Due to globalization, as I mentioned earlier about the pros and cons, as I said, a lot of people believe that culture has been impacted majorly because of the mix-up of all the different methods of doing things. It's just basically different principles of doing the same thing again, and mainly the culture. That's one of the, I would say, bad impact, but I would say mostly it's good impacts has done on the human population as of now. Globalization, from my perspective, I think it is a good thing, and which we need to be well known about, and we need to be able to use that in our day-to-day life.
What do you think is the future of globalization?
Well, that's an interesting question. The future, there's a big future lying ahead in front of the globalization part of things, because I think it is really important, and there's lots of people working around that to improve, the globalization as a whole. New topic, and I think in this era, globalization is a much needed thing, and everyone should be able to use that in a constructive manner, and in all their discipline, not just my health industry. I would say it is applicable in all sorts of discipline, and they should be able to utilize it. And from all the recent advanced sophisticated methods, I think they've got the robots coming and doing most of the things nowadays. They're trialing a lot of different things every day in most of the countries. And I think as a first world nation, we are in Australia is trying to implement most of the things which are most beneficial in whatever we're trying to achieve. And I think it is a good thing, and it will be mostly practiced all around the world. It is going to change the way which we used to do, about 20-30 years ago. And things have become a lot easier because of that, and I think it is going to be improving day by day, and it has got a future, and it keeps changing every day, which is a much required thing in these current days. And day by day things getting easier, and the way in which we do things are getting easier as well. Which will end up being good for everybody who are using that.
Thank you for your valuable.
Muchly appreciated. Thank you. Bye.